What's going on, y'all? Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Masterpiece, and we are live. It took me a minute to set up there, but I'm glad you guys bear with me. I got some viewers. What's going on? Shout out to all y'all. Now, this is going to be a different type of show, but it's definitely going to be worth the while. The topic of the show itself is controversial enough. Is the shape of our world more important than Pan-African liberation? Now, let me just give you a little background about myself. I am a truth seeker. What does that mean? It means that it doesn't matter how comfortable I am with an idea. I want the truth. I don't care how much it hurts. I want the truth. You know, don't give me food. Don't give me water. I want truth. I'll get my own food and water after I know what's up. And you know what? I never want to stop. I don't want to be 60 and complacent. I don't want to be 40 and stuck in my comfort zone. I want to always know what the deal is, what is the truth, what's really going down, and what is the reality of nature, and what is the nature of reality. And so we're going to get into this today. Just to let you guys know, I've always been that one that was asking questions in my family, the black sheep, I guess, going against the grain. And it never really bothered me too much because I had a burning desire inside of me to ask and to know. I started waking up when I was questioning traffic, traffic laws, stop signs, seat belts. I knew that there was parts of the world that didn't abide by the same rules, that didn't all need to wear seatbelts and all this nonsense. And it really got me questioning things, which brought me into taxes. And is it right to pay taxes? Is it constitutional? What is the income tax for? Which brought me into a whole bunch of basically a lot of politics about, who's running this world, who we owe our allegiance to, questioning the flag. And I think it's the same for everybody here that's watching this. If you're a truth seeker, if you're not, and you're just ignorance is bliss type, that's fine. But we're going to get into this today from a truth seeking standpoint, which means no holds bar. Nothing is for comfort. I'm questioning everything and I'm bringing it all to the table. All right. Is the shape of our world more important than Pan-African liberation? I gotta light a Dutch to this one. Oh yeah. All right. Now, the shape of an animal's cage is tantamount to how successful that animal will be of escaping. Let me explain. If you put a mouse in a cage, instantly the mouse is investigating all corners, sniffing around all corners, trying to look for a way out. Now, if you hit a little trap door, or if you made the mouse believe it was one shape instead of revealing the true shape, then you will have that mouse searching those artificial parameters forever. Who knows? But we do know this. Just knowing things like how big the cage is, the complexities of the cage, how many lefts and rights turns to make it to the other side, how durable the cage is. All of these things are tantamount to the mouse being able to escape or not, or any creature confined. You have to know the shape of your confinements before you could ever hope to be free. Now, sorry about that. I had to take a little break. I had a little coughing session. Now, if you were to tell me that this is a prison planet, we're here in servitude, blah, 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 I would agree with you. I would say, yeah, you know what? It seems like the people in general are being kept down. It seems like we are prisoners. We are being held hostage. Well, the next obvious question is why and by who, for what? But also, here comes along this flat earth truth, or this whole flat earth talk, I should say, just to keep it fair. And now it hits everybody at the core. Why? Because whatever conspiracy you're dealing with, whatever level of evolution you are taking place in right now, the shape of the confines of this prison environment is now being called into question. Now that it is being called into question, a whole new line of questions open up. So let's take it back a step to just liberation. And it doesn't have to be Pan-African liberation. It can be liberation for anybody that's oppressed. There's many oppressed people around the world. The reason why I speak to Pan-African liberation is because I grew up with racism. I grew up with bigotry. I grew up with that divide. I grew up with feeling those eyes on me when I go shopping. You know, hold on one sec. Someone's opening the garage door. 1 second. I'm back. I'm back. So now, when when we look at uh, the deepest truths, you know, we're truth seekers here, and we have to really ask ourselves what is most important. And when I came up in the Black consciousness community, I already entered in as a truth seeker. I already entered in able to give up beliefs. There was a lot of talk about Martin Luther King, you know, selling us out. There was a lot of talk about there was a lot of talk about Malcolm X coming back and not really feeling the way he felt before, blah blah blah, etc. etc. So I didn't mind. Like I said, all I want is the truth. And like I said, I experienced these cultural divides, these socio-economic stereotypes. I experienced these coming from a Black perspective. You know what I mean? So I would always get those jokes like, "Oh, I bet this you can steal and you can jump high, and oh, you can jump that fence, right?" You know what I mean? Oh, I hear cop sirens. That must be for you. That kind of shit, right? Because I grew up in a very multicultural community, but just because it was multicultural doesn't mean that there was no bigotry or racism or anything like that. So that's why I chose to come into this YouTube game. I'm a natural teacher. I just want to share the messages of light to the world. And when I came into the conscious community as that, I noticed that it was such it was like talking to a brick wall. You know what I mean? You're trying to make advances, but there's people in the community who are set up there almost as like con men or something, and they take from the community. They lead them one way and leave them flat on their faces. And I don't know if this is the same for any Indian or Mexican communities or Puerto Rican communities or Irish communities or Protestant. Like, you know, there's so many different things that divide us in this world. And I'm gonna bring it back to my point with this. There's so many different things that divide us in this world, and when you are focused on that division, then you're missing a bigger picture. And so when you're in the Black conscious community talking about Pan-African liberation, it's a very complex thing. Remember, right? We have to keep that in mind. This control system is very embedded, it's very ingrained in us, and it's very multifaceted. This matrix is very deep. There's many levels to it. I was just on a live stream with Logic. We were talking about that, how there's so many levels to the matrix. There's not one answer. And also, you're not going to be able to come to that answer in a simple 2-hour debate. Now, in the flat earth, when I was in the Black conscious community, I came across the flat earth, you know, videos. I'm seeing it in the side of my suggested videos, and I'm thinking, this is bullshit. Like, are you serious? It's 2015, and people are still debating the shape of the Earth. I mean, there's satellite photos. NASA releases images of the Earth spinning. You know, there's time-lapse photography. We can actually see this happening. There's missions to Mars. There's missions to the moon. Are you telling me that those are all fake? I mean, I know we faked the moon mission. People, we know in the Black conscious community and in other communities that the moon mission was fake. Okay, you kind of, it's kind of like the JFK moon mission and 9/11. Those are like the three biggest things. And then as you go deeper into it, you find about the Princess Diana and about, you know, the Congo, and you find out about all these things, and you're like, damn, there's so many levels, so many angles to it. And I'm looking at this flat Earth these videos, and I'm like, this doesn't have anything to do with Pan-African liberation, so fuck it. You know, I would close my mind out to it. Now, if it was something like free energy, you know, they're hiding free energy devices with Tesla and all that. Okay, I get that. That's because if you look at Africa and if you look at the diaspora and the Caribbean and all that, you're going to find that there's many impoverished places. But like I said, when you're coming at it from like a cultural, racial division standpoint, then you're going to miss so much. You're going to be pigeonholed, and you're going to ignore certain information. So I decided to click on the flat Earth thing. I decided to see how and if it relates to my life, or if it makes any sense at all. Let me hear it out. I'm a truth seeker, right? I always want the truth. And I realized, hold on, you guys want to, I don't know if you want to see my face or not while I'm talking with this passion, but I'm leaving this Africa picture up just for everybody that, well, many people in the Black conscious community don't know all the countries in Africa. I mean, before I was even in the quote unquote conscious community, you know, making videos and putting myself out there, I would be able to name 50 of the African countries out of the 53 or 54 or whatever. You know what I mean? What I'm basically saying is, I came in realizing that a lot of the people that follow, you know, the Sa-netters and the Pills and the Sarasusetis and the Pharaohs, a lot of these people, they themselves don't know their own, the continent of which they speak so highly of. They don't even know about it. You know, they don't know all the countries. They don't know the capitals of those countries. They don't know what, they're not subscribed to the CGTN Africa news. They're not subscribed to you know, Somali news, Malawi news. And I'm thinking, well, okay, maybe, you know, maybe it's a bit of a stretch to expect that. And I'm gonna tie that in to Flat Earth, Globe Earth, about knowing your own model later. But stick with me. Now, I would see not only a lot of division, but a lot of ignorance with the followers in the Black conscious community. And I would say, damn, this is turning into a WWE type, flaunting your fashion, your new shades, your new necklace. It got pretty material pretty quickly. And I'm sitting back thinking, well, if Pan-African liberation is number one, it's the number one goal, then how come there's such a disconnect with Africa and Africans? You know, it was a real trip, and it was a real hard thing to digest, because you suddenly realize that the conscious community is not the conscious community. It's not full of conscious beings, and I have a different terminology of what conscious is, because consciousness, it's composed of consciousness. Consciousness is you people are like, oh, I'm conscious now. It's like, well, no, wait. You might be self-aware, and you might be self-conscious in the fact that you know your relation to the overall. You know, maybe you're abstaining from eating animal products and driving electric cars. I don't know, all that kind of hippie stuff. You know, that conscious shit. But Do you really understand what consciousness is? And if you did, can you really be in a position to judge someone's lack of understanding of consciousness, knowing that consciousness is, and consciousness makes up consciousness? The contents of consciousness is consciousness, whether it's your conscious or subconscious. It's composed of it all. So basically, when you say I'm conscious, basically you're just saying I'm deeper reaching. But it doesn't mean you're totally tapped in, because if you were totally tapped in, totally conscious, totally aware, totally present, you would cease to be. You wouldn't need any more development. You wouldn't need to strive for any perfection. You would be it. And that is why all of these things are so spiritual or ethereal or etherical, because it's out there or inside. It's not seen. You know, as I say, most of the things happens in the unseen. So I would see all these people say, yeah, the conscious community, yeah, we conscious, you know, give me your money, and next week they got new jewelry. Or next week they're you know, live in Jamaica or something. So I'm thinking, okay, the black conscious community isn't as deep as what I thought it was. I mean, I saw this episode of Saw Netter. He was talking about gators, and should he be able to buy himself some gators after all the work that he's putting in? He deserves some gators. See, now that is a completely unconscious thing to say. Now that's an old video. That video is like from 2 years ago, and I don't know if he moved on from that type of thinking. But strike number one was the whole I deserve. Strike number two was the gators wearing the animal, you know, killing the animal, or at least increasing the demand. And strike three was that's the people's money. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have not seen any of these conscious community people stream live from Africa or do a video live on the continent where they're building up a project to build a new road. Donate to the super chat. We're gonna build a new road here in Kenya. It's gonna be beautiful. You know, here in Botswana, it's very you know, underdeveloped. We can get it popping with some new roads, and our people will be in on this. What happened to that? So you got these Afro-Americans, quote unquote, talking about how conscious they are, talking about how much they love Africa, talking about how much they're Pan-African, but never want to go to Africa. I don't even think Saw Netter's been to Africa. And you don't need to go to the continent to love the continent, but there's a point in time where a leader or a showman or a mediator or an MC, they need to go see their fans, or they need to go see the people that they support, or the people that they hype up, or, you know what I mean? There's got to be some sort of engagement there. This is why people go on tours. This is why politicians go on tours. This is why you'll see, like, before a company makes its huge debut, they'll be at street festivals, getting their word out, meeting the people, you know, telling them their story. But you don't have that in the Black conscious community. And that's really shameful, because there's so much, man, we have so much spending power. I'm gonna give a couple shout outs, but there's so much spending power in the Black conscious community that you would think that we would see some of that spending power go towards the people that we actually are talking about, helping. You know, we're talking about, oh, you know, we Pan-Africans, baby. We're not gonna stop until we liberated. We're not gonna stop until we united from north to south, all across the diaspora. But first, I gotta drive this Bentley, and I gotta wear these gaiters, because if I'm not wearing these gaiters and these Bentleys, then who's gonna follow me? And I gotta let them know. See, they're always justifying it. I gotta let people know that this conscious community thing, it works and it's real, and you can get, you can be successful talking about your people. Try to justify the fact that they're just as much as consumers as the people they're trying to wake up are. So you have these people both asleep trying to wake each other up. Have you ever seen two people sleeping trying to wake each other up? Me neither. Let me give out some shout outs. Nikki, what's going on? She says, hey, Masterpiece, with a big smiley face. How you doing? Blue Chris, what's going on, man? Flat power, my brother. And let me stop sharing that. Yeah. What's going on, y'all? Flat power. Let's see who else is here. Daniel Richardson, what's going on, yo? I see you in the chats. I like how you're riding with it. Now, I'm thankful that you guys are all patient, because this is a deep topic and it is long, and I'll open up the panel possibly in like an hour or two. We got all day. But I gotta get this off my chest. Sean G, what's up, fam? What's going on? How you doing, buddy? Joe Garcia, much love, peace. Back at you, buddy. Dre Midas, with the Midas touch. Everything you touch turned to gold. I like that, because everything you speak on, brother, you always hit it on the head, man. I love having you on the panels. So big shout outs to you. Robert Humphrey, what's going on? Peace. Thank you for staying tuned. And Sean G, yeah, what up? Yo, we're gonna get it in today, guys, because there's a lot of people denying the implications that the shape of our prison, what type of difference it makes, what kind of impact it makes on us. There's a lot of deniers out there. So this is what we're here to settle, all right? And this is what I'm here to talk about. So let me get back into it, all right? You got sleep people trying to wake up sleep people. You got thieves in the community. You got people trying to sell you herbs and shit. Dr. Sebi got taken out. I have not received more promotional Dr. Sebi advertisements since the man has passed. I've been subscribed to him for a couple years. Now that he's gone, it's like, Dr. Sebi sales, come see what we're doing. Come visit, support us. Are you getting the right herbs? Buy these herbs. And you know what? What's funny about that is that there was a woman working in the Dr. Sebi Los Angeles location, and she had recommended microwaving the medicine, the herbs. So she said, okay, take a teaspoon with some warm water, maple syrup, and some cinnamon, and put it in the microwave to warm it up. Now, we all know what happens when you put food in the microwave. It basically turns to cardboard. And this woman was basically spotted out, identified as a mole, a bug. Okay? Now, they removed her. Dr. Sebi got on his job. Everything was going smooth. And then Dr. Sebi dies in police custody. And his thousands of dollars, who knows what happened to that? And now there's mad promotions for the Dr. Sebi site in my inbox. And I'm sure you guys all have the same experience. So you got a lot of con people in the community. And then you got a lot of people ignoring this. Sa Netter running away from debating Brother Sanchez. Sarah Sutin-Seti, which I used to look up to that dude like so much, and I know I'm a man, he's a man, we shouldn't follow men. I get that, but off the strength of his word, it was just like, damn, he says it how he feels it. And well, you look at the subscriber count that said he has, and you know what I'm talking about. He speaks with power, with conviction. You know what I mean? And I just, when he brought out the video with the whole flat earth thing, and it was so obvious that he didn't research it or look into the nut and geb aspect of it, or talk to Brother Sanchez about it, it just really kind of hurt. It was like as I was watching his video, I was like, I just wanted to crank up so many live streams. I made a respond video, but he never made a follow-up. I'm thinking what happened was he looked into it, maybe looked into Brother Sanchez, because he's not fucking with any white person when it comes to getting knowledge. So I thought, okay, he's gonna go to Brother Sanchez, and he's probably a flat earther now. That's what I'm thinking. He's probably a flat earther, and right now he's trying to figure out how to kind of switch back into gear, how to be like, yo, you know what? I looked into it and I was wrong, kind of thing. But however he wants to handle that, that's on him. But so then I started talking about it before I declared it. Before I declared to anybody in the Black conscious community or in any of my videos, I would refer to this world as a plane. You could see a video that I just re-uploaded when I had my dreads. It was when I just got back from the continent. And I would refer to this place as a plane, or many other videos if you go back. And that's something that I encourage all of you guys to do. I noticed that all of my views are coming from my past 15 videos or so. But if you guys go back to the source, go back to my first couple of videos on the continent in Africa, and after that, man, you guys, there's so many gems, there's so many jewels. And I'm just a little nigga, as I always say, I'm just a little dude in the game. And I'm already, I took my family to Africa. I took my baby, she was 6 months old. I took my wifey, and we had a great time. We stayed there for 6 months. Okay, we stayed with her dad, and it was the most incredible experience in my life in terms of traveling. I really recommend everybody goes to Africa, check out any part of it, but look into those earlier videos. And I'm thinking, I'm like, why can't they do that? Why can't Young Pharaoh present live from the continent? He's got all this tour money. He's booked. Sarah Soon said he's booked. Everybody, Dr. Valentine, Dr. Umar Johnson, I know he goes around. Dr. Umar Johnson actually goes around the continent. And I would like to see a little bit more live streaming from there, or at least video making and editing from the continent, and letting them know what we feel over here. Because I'll tell you, when I went over to the continent with my Black consciousness community mindset, people were not vibing with it. The younger people, they were kind of feeling it, but I could tell that most of it was just because they didn't want to be rude. But the way I would talk about the white man, the way I would talk about, the powers that be, or just the conspiracy of taxes and religion, I'll tell you, I was not getting a good response on the continent over there. And I didn't really mind. I opened my mouth anyway. But it kind of led me to a realization. I was like, okay, wait a minute. There's a community divided in America, giving their credence to Africa, though they've never really been African to Africa. They've never really, they're not Facebooking people like I used to and making those connections across the seas. There's no real genuine wanting to unify. So there was that. And then I went to the continent. There was a bunch of people that wanted to be American, but were getting shamed from Americans, trying to add them to Facebook or connect, and they weren't feeling the love. And also, so I brought that the mindset of the North American, Afro-American, if I don't even know what to call it, the Black American, over to Africa, and it wasn't vibing. So I'm thinking, okay, something is wrong. And now that I am awakened to flat earth, I know what it is that's wrong. And I'll tell you right now, if you don't know who Brother Sanchez is, which you already do, he is the dude that awoken me to this, because I'm sitting back and I'm listening to him talk. This was like a couple years ago now, and he was like, I don't even believe in races, and you know I'm good at accents and shit, and so I'm listening to him speak, and he said that, and I was like, don't believe in races? What the fuck is this nigga talking about? Don't believe in races? This is like some coon ass nigga right here. But then as time went by, I went deeper into the cosmologies and cosmogonies, and I'm saying, oh shit, it wasn't always Egypt, it wasn't always Kemet, it wasn't always Kush. There was whole civilizations with different godheads, different symbols, and that's what really brought me into a higher awareness, a deeper reaching of into the consciousness, the never-ending pool of consciousness. So I've started thinking now, oh shit, the ancient Africans, ancient Incans, ancient Indians, ancient, Indus Valley civilizations, they all had flat earth cosmologies. And I'm thinking, I'm trying to find a Cometian globe. I'm like, okay, globe from Kemet, Kemet globe, the world etched in stone in Kemet. You know what I mean? And I couldn't find shit. I couldn't find a globe. Now, that's not to mean that they didn't believe it was a globe. It's just that they fucking sculpted damn near everything from hawks to, crickets to spoons to whole biblical stories or spiritual stories. Why can't I find a sphere? You know what I mean? Like, if there's okay, I get it. There's a circle on the wall, that can be whatever. But why can't I find a statue like the Greeks had with a sphere? And I know that the Greeks weren't more advanced than the Egyptians. So why can't I find an ancient African sphere of the earth? Something that shows something of land and water, continent formations, recognizable, but in a sphere. And then that brought me deeper into this whole evolution thing. Obviously evolution's a joke, a hoax. And in the Black conscious community, they speak about that. The Amun-Ra frauds have already been ousted. They're out of the game. They're irrelevant. There's no more evolution talk, I don't think, in the Black conscious community. But one subject that they're ignoring is the flat earth talk. Why? And I'm sitting back and I'm asking myself, why isn't the shape of the place that we live important? In fact, why isn't it more important than Pan-African liberation? Let me get to the crux of the argument right now. If they say that the earth is a globe and life started in Africa, it's really easy to just stop there. Oh, okay, earth was a globe, life started in Africa. Okay, cool. Who created white people? Who created Asians? How did that come to be? Was it migration? Was it genetics? Was it a downfall? Was it we created albinos and then merged and made the Middle Eastern and then the Asians from the albino and African union? Was it monkeys going into white people and then black people had sex with monkeys? Did we gene splice and create white people on an island with mad scientists and then integrate, and then they broke loose on the world and we integrated with them or some shit? Either way, in those models, black people are responsible. Whether they degraded and fell down and started getting out of their diet and started lusting over their bodies more than their spiritual natures and started eating dense food and flesh foods, which made them have genetic problems, which gave rise to albinism. Whether it was we we intermingled and interbred with Neanderthals and white people that couldn't walk and talk, and they were seen as beasts, then that's our fault. We chose to do that. We lusted after that. If whether it was mad scientists creating them on an island, well then, god damn it, it's the black people's fault again. And if it's God's fault, and in the Black conscious community we say the black woman is God, well then I guess the black womb is the source of these white people. The white devil, quote unquote, is what you'll hear all over the world. But in the Black conscious community, you'll hear that, the white man. Either way, it's fucking the black people's. It's on them. You know what I mean? So now let's back up. That's if we're on a globe. Now, what if we're on a plane? Okay, what if just what if, like the ancestors say, of I don't know, the African ancestors say, of the North African, the Northwestern, even myths that you find in the South. When you look in the New Zealand and the Aborigine or the Aborigines there, and when you look in the original or the oldest that we can find writings and drawings in China and the Indus Valley, North America, South America, they're all flat Earth cosmologies, as Brother Sanchez will fill you in on. They're all flat Earth cosmologies. It all has this kind of dome-looking thing with a flat Earth. Now, I know that they couldn't have drawn everything, and if there's more out there, then they kind of sectioned it off into this bubble. But if we are in a dome, if we are in a bubble, and we are trapped, and all of these, or not trapped, but if we are confined, and this is how we experience life on the inside of the egg, okay, which the egg is an ancient symbol. If this is true, that the Earth is a plane and we are enclosed, then it would also stand to reason that all of these cultures said that human life started at the North Pole, and it would give credence to that. Now, anytime you look at a North Pole picture, it's always covered in these fake clouds. Now, I wonder why that is. Why are they? What are they hiding? Why is there always so much steam up there? You know, why is there always so much evaporation at the poles? Because you'd think if there was any, fuck man, whoo, okay, let me calm down. You'd think if there was any like mass coverings of clouds, it would be by the equators. Why? Because that is where the most action is happening. The evaporation, the raining, the storms. You know what I mean? The North Pole, it's cold. South Pole is cold. There's no evaporation. Where are the clouds coming from? And if we're spinning, right? Why is it going up to the spots of lower spin when we know that with gravity, G-force, it would send it all out to the center? And then that to double the fact that that's where the most action is happening. You have the most evaporation happening over those waters. So I don't get why we always just look at the North Pole pictures and South Pole pictures and say, oh yeah, there's a big cloud covering it. Okay, yeah, cool. No, that's fake. But okay, so they say life started at the North Pole. Now, if this is true, then that means that everything that we've thought about how race came to be now has to be called into question. Now, I'm not saying it's a lie, but it definitely doesn't hold a lot of weight. I mean, if it started at the North Pole, yeah, okay, say it all started black, because this is the Black conscious community that I'm talking to right now, right? And why the shape of our prison is more important than liberating a certain amount of people on the planet. Okay. Now, if it started out as black, and we spread out and we diverge or whatever, then we still don't know what caused these changes, unless the races were always created. And like Brother Sanchez said, and which I'll have to agree, because I'm not one of those people that just hear someone say something and then go with it. I actually had to pause his videos, read it, copy and paste his sources, go into those videos, cross-reference that, and see if it made sense in any other paradigm of anybody else's studies, and come to my own conclusion that, yeah, back in the day, they used to specify people according to type, not skin color. They would say tall people, big-headed people, big-eyed people, short people, normal, or what we would call normal, our height people. You know what I mean? They would say things like glowing. You know what I mean? They would say things like monstrous, giant, huge. You know what I mean? They wouldn't ever say, "Oh, these black niggers they were so fucking black and they wanted to steal shit." No, just, but no, they wouldn't be like, these were the copper colored people, and these were the Negro, the burnt skin, you know, the land of the burnt skin, you know, Ethiopia, the land of the burnt faces, and oh, down here, this is the land of the burnt skin, and this is the land of the black people. You know what I mean? It's like, well, okay, well, wait a minute. Who's naming that? Who's naming these things? Because in order to name it, you have to be different than that. You have to be outside of that. You know, if I looked around, if the whole world is black, then we're just people. We're just normal people. We wouldn't be like, oh, you're black and you're brown. But you know, there would be no differentiation. So there must have been someone outside being like, this is the land of the blacks, because here, this isn't the land of the blacks. Over here, this is, you know, I just came from a voyage, and now I've arrived at this continent, and I'm naming it the land of the blacks, because I see that there are mainly black people here, and that is different than what I'm used to. Because if I come from a land of the blacks and I go to a land with more blacks, why would I name that new land land of the blacks? How would I know which one I'm referring to? How would I make that differentiation? You see, we have to, black people, we have to get out of this feel-good history. We got to get away from this. Oh, well, it was a black planet once. Well, no, because your ancestors, who you're speaking so highly of and getting so defensive about right now, they referred to, sorry, I'm just moving this around. They referred to this cosmology as a flat plane. I'm just going to pull up and get, just so my images match. Okay. Well, guess what? Your ancestors, to the black conscious community, your ancestors, they gave credence to a flat earth and dome concept with the stars up above in the dome and the land laying flat. So you can't pick and choose. You know, you have to start questioning with your own mind. And think about what I said. If you come from a land of the blacks, then how can you go to a new land and call it the land of the blacks and know what you're talking about? So if our ancestors had a flat earth cosmology, then we need to start rethinking this whole race thing. Because if we refer to people back in the days as giants and small and pygmy, then we have to also start asking ourselves, when did the whole race thing come about? When did the whole classification of race? Because even in Kemet, there would be trades with everybody. They had the whole South and Southeastern Asia on lock. They trade their trade routes went from China, Syria, Japan, to all the way to, you know, Morocco, to the coast, and they even traded with the North and South Americans, indigenous. So they were exposed. Everybody knew of their kingdom. The Egyptian kingdom, the Phoenician kingdom, there was many races underneath it. And still there was no higher taxes for darker people, or we never find any writings about lighter skinned people being taxed heavier or whatever. No, we know that it was multicultural. You can find ancient paintings of different cultures trading with each other. So we have to ask ourselves, what and how and who placed this race game upon us? And then to bring it back to the fact that it was a flat earth cosmology and that they gave credence to life starting at the North Pole, you have to ask yourself seriously, could life had manifested in all different types of shapes and colors and sizes, and people simply migrated to where was most conducive to them? Now, now that is if we are on a flat. See, this is deep. I told you it was deep, people. I told you there's a lot to build on. We just covered if it was a black planet, if it was a sphere, if it was a globe. Now with the origins. Now we're questioning if it was a flat enclosed dome with type of cosmology like you see here, or if it was an infinite plane, you know, and there's many other continents around us, and if there's many other types of land formations and animals and fruits that we have never experienced, and different types of suns and all that. Let's deal with that with in terms of Pan-African liberation. If we live on an infinite plane and we came out of the North Pole here and spread, well, then who's to say that we didn't, if we came up from under the North Pole or from above or whatever, who's to say that we didn't get there from another spot? If it's infinite, if there's another North Pole star for another whole community, you know, for another Earth pond, say there's another Earth pond, then who's to say that they don't have their own North Pole and their own origins of life? Or who's to say that our Earth life didn't start from another Earth pond? And if that's true, then if the oldest bones we could find are in Africa, well, then that just simply means that's where they stopped first. They came to Africa first on their voyage. Maybe it was the first land that rose out of the water in this locality. You see, there's so many different angles we can go here, folks, that it just makes you just scratch your head. And why this is important is because if it's an infinite plane, then what the fuck are we doing here? Like, what the fuck am I doing paying taxes, land taxes? Why is real estate up like 400% in 10 years? You know what I mean? Like, why are we paying to live in the place we were born? Like, I was simply born here, and now I have to find a job. I gotta do this and that simply to survive. You're telling me that all of this abundance that I see around me, it's not for me? No, it's not for you. That's for the major corporations to take the produce, and they will make sure that it's safe for you to eat. Wait, whoa, wait, safe for me to eat? Yeah. Well, you can't grow your own gardens because we don't know if it's safe. Wait a minute, hold on. How long have humans been roaming this part of the plane? I don't know, millions of years. Yeah, and when was like the FDA created? Oh, I think it was like created like in the 19. Oh, so like less than 200 years ago, less than 300 years ago. Yeah. So then what the fuck were we doing for the past millions of years? Oh, well, you know, our lifespans now we didn't used to live as long, but now, you know what I mean? There's so many different control mechanisms in place, and we just fucking roll on our backs and take it. We just say, yep, okay. Oh, okay. Pay for this property here, and then pay and ask permission to plant a tree. Oh, okay, yeah, let me do that. So when you realize that there's a possibility that we may be on an infinite plane, then you start to ask yourself, what the fuck am I doing here? And what am I doing paying to be here? Now, if it's not an infinite plane and we're enclosed, well, then that still begs the question, who puts you in charge? You know, if we're enclosed here on this flat plane, why did you lie about it? A, why did you tell it was a globe? And B, why are you the leading official voice? Why are you the authority? You're putting out images of fake planets and the fake Earth, and you're admitting that it's Photoshop, but without asking why, then we're going to keep this game revolving. We need to ask why. So for those in the Black conscious community that are thinking, well, no, that the flat Earth, that has nothing to do with Pan-African liberation, well, let me tell you something. You may feel like there's nowhere you can go. You know, Africa is war-torn, you might say. It's underdeveloped, you might say. They don't got Jordans, you might say. Oh, the Caribbean's nice, but the islands are small, you might say. I might get bored, you might say. There's a lot of crime, you might say. And yet and still, all the while, there could be other places to go, other land masses. There might be other land masses where your particular culture comes from that you resonate with. You know, in past lifetimes, you may have dwelt there, and it's a familiarity to you now, these new continents. You know, if they're saying that it's a globe, then you have no choice but to rape and mine Africa, right? How are we going to get these diamonds? How are we going to get this gold? Let's open up a new pit. Oh, but no more blood diamonds. No, we're going to pay better. And we're going to make sure that, they're taking care of the employees and the miners. But we still need this gold. For what? Like, why do we need more and more and more gold? Do you know how much gold there is in a single jewelry store? Not to mention the millions across the country, across the world. Just think about how much gold is surfaced that should have been in the ground. And we're saying, oh, well, we need it for resources and we're running out of resources. All of this is scarcity tactics to keep you believing that we need wars, that we need to pay to live, that we need to heighten up taxes because hey, land is running out, so this is going to cost you more. There's more interest rate on that. You know what I mean? All of this scarcity, food. We have the technology to grow tropical fruit in the Arctic, yet we have the Native Americans who are paying $5 for a single bell pepper, $10 for orange juice. You know, friggin' $6 for lettuce because of the transportation taxes and all that. So all of these scarcity tactics are working perfectly on you, and you go to war and you get upset and you're saying this was ours first and we were here first, and when really this bitch could be infinite, but we don't know that. And you know why we don't know? Because they've been hiding it. They've been telling us it's a globe, and they've been giving us feel-good history, like life started in Africa. Yet we see pyramids that outdate African pyramids in other continents. We see artifacts around the world that predate the lineage, the timeline of what it should be if it was in Africa and then spread outwards. It seems to be more or so that there was always a transitory reality and existence between these nations and other nations, because also if you're in the Black conscious community, then you know that there are some cultures like in South Africa and in Northwest Africa who say that we come from beyond. We come from other places. Not here, not on this part of the earth. And the whole Sirius connection has been debunked by Brother Sanchez. So when we're thinking about Pan-African liberation, we're thinking about only one group of people. Well, what then? Okay, Pan-Africans, we're liberated now. What then? Let me get back to my chat before I answer that, because that's a loaded question. What then? What then after Pan-African liberation? What then? What's going on, Legendary Duke? How you doing, man? Hey, y'all, if y'all want to check out my art, I got a lot of art. You know, I'm trying to make a living out of it, basically. I don't want to be working jobs here and there. I want to do my passion. Go follow me on Instagram. It's Classic Smith Art, all one word. Classic Smith Art. ClassicsmithArt. And that should just give you a link to a lot of the art that I make and I sell across the countries and the continents. All right, so Pan-African liberation. Liberation for Pan-Africans. Okay, so now we have Pan-African liberation. Africa's control. Oh yeah, and Flat Earth Brooklyn. Let me. I'm gonna hold up the logic. What's good? I'm gonna open up the panel in a little bit, so y'all can rock with me. I got the super chat open if y'all want to support me, support my art, so that I can keep on exposing this truth. And we're just gonna keep it rocking. I'll open up the panel. But let me talk about this. You get Pan-African liberation. The Pan-African entities are in control of their own fate. That's what it's all about, controlling their own destiny. We have the resources. We need control over our own resources. That's the mindset. Now, that's a reality, okay? You're controlling. Everything is booming. The African and the whole diaspora, it's booming. It's now first world. We got condos going up. We got cell phone towers everywhere. We got higher cancer rates now. We got better hospitals with more radio waves. We got more birth defects. You know, we got more soy, processed foods. You know, first world, right? That's the idea, right? You know, Pan-African liberation, control our own resources, build it up, and basically spoil ourselves. You know, cell phone towers, radiation, microwaves, all that shit. And then what? Then you got India, the 2 billion people there who are in the slums. You got China, you got billion there, give or take, living less than their means. You got the Aborigines is what they're called, but I don't like to call them that. The indigenous of Australia and New Zealand living like shit. You got white people in trailer park homes living like shit. You got Mexicans and you know what I mean? You got all these other people in the world still dealing with the same shit. So then you ask yourself, can I really be peaceful and be at peace when there's so much atrocities happening around me? And I know that that's the question now. Yeah, to the elite, that's what we're asking. But the elite is made up of blacks and Asians and whites and yellows and purples. Man, the one thing that the Black conscious community is famous for is pigeonholing an argument and putting those blinders on and making you only see one topic at a time. If we have only Pan-Africans liberated and we still have suffering to the animals and to other people, then how are we going to even claim the fact that we were godly or we were kingly or we were righteous? Yeah, it happened to us. And you might say, they did it to us, so they deserve it. Well, to what extent? Do you mean completely wiping off the face of the earth every white person? Because if that's so, that's going to be a lot of people in your own family. And it's probably going to be a lot of your friends, because a lot of y'all, you talk this like separation shit and then go to work. What's up, Nick? What's up, Chris? Yo, yeah, we'll hit the half pipe after school. Uh, and that probably means if you're going to wipe off all the white people, it's going to take away a lot of the, the NBA's gone. NFL's gone. All the commissioners are gone. So, and not to mention all of those deaths, hey, it's still a death, which is still on your soul. Because it's not like every white person is guilty and doing this shit. It's the elites, right? And the elites are found in all shapes and sizes, of all colors and creeds. So when we point our fingers at just one demographic of the elites, then we're only targeting part of the elite. And what I mean by the elite is the powers that should not be, which is what I picked up from Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes, her channel, because she says the powers that should not be, because that's right, they should not be. And they're made up of many different races. Now, if you want to genocide a complete race, there's still going to be your own race enslaving you. And there's still going to be other races enslaving their races. But also, it's going to be left on your soul signature. That genocide, you can't have two wrongs don't make a right. If you say you can't just go around killing everybody, and then you say, well, in order to stop that, I'm just going to go around and kill all the people that are killing everybody. Well, then you have yourself in a little bit of a conundrum, because you're going to identify innocent people with people that are doing horrific things. For example, you're going to want to go and shoot up a whole trailer park of white people in hopes that it's going to make it easier for black people, which is the stupidest thing. I mean, I hear these people saying, we will not, this planet will not be peaceful until the white man is wiped off the face of the earth. And while I recognize and resonate and empathize with the black community struggle, I cannot at the same time turn around and wish that same misery on someone else. Because a truly conscious person would know what that would implicate for their soul, for their future incarnations, for the plane that we live on. You would be conscious of all these things and how we're connected. I can't believe people claim that they're so conscious and are so deluded in how our relationship with each other and the plane works. So I'm going to give a big flat power. Can I get a flat power in the panel for true unity? I mean, I'm not saying getting in bed with the enemy, and I'm not saying and by the enemy, I mean, obviously selling your soul to the powers that be and jumping on board. Can I get a flat power from restraining from that and really giving it to them? Because this flat earth truth unites everybody, because we've all been lied to. We've all been deceived, and don't take it personal if you thought that this was a globe and you thought that it didn't matter if it was flat. If you're into Pan-African liberation, hey, you can still be into Pan-African liberation, but just know that the deception is way worse than what you thought. Because the extent of the deception in the black conscious community is the fact that they're hiding the fact that the black woman is God. They're hiding black magnificence and originality, and they're hiding our creativity and the fact that we built up nations. So you can still have that pride for your culture. Flat Earth, it doesn't wash everybody out. It's not a melting pot like America. It's more like Canada. It's a mixing pot. Okay? It's like a salad. You come in and you add your own flavor. Man, I was just looking at these African masks, and then this South American girl pulls out these Chinese masks that look almost identical. It's just the only difference was the shapes of the designs. The colors were all the same. You know what I mean? They had 2 eye holes and a mouth hole and like a nose decorated. So if we realize how similar we are, then it's a numbers game, and we unite as a mass against the small powers that be. If you have a couple million people going at 100 people, then you're gonna only get change for those people. For example, what I'm saying is, if the black race, quote unquote, says down with the white man, we want the white man removed out of power. Okay, well, you still have to deal with the people that are in power, the Indian man, that, you know, the Africans that are corrupt, the Chinese that are corrupt, the Japanese that are corrupt, the Russians that are corrupt, all these other different ethnicities and races. So it just gets to a point where it's like, okay, wait a minute, why don't we all just start from scratch and say what happened in the past, and though it's still happening, I recognize that you are not the one that is constituting it. You are not the one that is empowering this oppression. So instead of blaming you, neighbor or co-employee or person on Facebook who you never met, how about we unite under the truth that we are both being lied to, and we both are being tricked and deceived into paying taxes, into paying for real estate, into thinking that this is all that there is, you know what I mean, into having these religions separate and divide us. Instead of that, let's just unite under the fact that NASA's fucking up with their photos. These eclipses are not being explained well, and let's embrace that, because when we have black conscious community people coming to the flat earth debates, they get ousted quickly for being ignorant to higher sciences, to more a broader way of thinking, and a broader scope of cosmologies. Now, please hit that like button, like Dre Midas says. And I am going to open up the panel. So anybody that wants to come and join me on the fact that, is the shape of the place we live tantamount or more important to one specific person's liberation? Is flat earth more important than Pan-African liberation? Does it help? Does it not help? Let me get your thoughts. Okay, let me open up the panel by inviting some peeps. So I think Dre Midas is out there. Got an invite. Let's see here. Somebody else wanted to get in, Flat Earth Brooklyn. You know what? I'll just drop it in the chat. There you go. There you go, guys. The panel is now open. We're going to discuss flat earth, Pan-African liberation. Doesn't matter. Is it impactful? What's going on? Is it important? Does it help? I'm ready to hear the panel 2 build. Because when the panel builds, that's when things get interesting. You see, it's always about diversity. The more people, the more perspectives we can get in on this thing, the quicker we are going to be liberated. And I say that verily and truthfully for anybody that's Christian out there. What's going on, Dre?
What's up, brother? Master Peace. Glad to see you doing your thing, bro. Obviously, you already know I got mad love and respect for you putting your thing down, and definitely hitting them hot button topics. You know what it is.
All right, yeah, much respect, man. Dre, we always build together, man, and whenever we do get in a build together, we always seem to be on the same page. And I know that a lot of people might watch this and say we're cooning. You know, how are you gonna speak unity with everybody when we know that everybody is shitting on Africa? So what do you got to say about the fact that unity doesn't have to be identified to just one race? It doesn't have to be separated to just one race. Is that cooning, or is that, you know, what is that?
Me personally, I call it keeping it real. I mean, if you want to ask me, technically, I think it's the ones in the conscious community that's cooning, because when you look at it at the end of the day, what are they really doing to further the education and to further the unity movement? They're not doing any of these things in order to further that. They're basically pushing an agenda which is laced with vitriol and toxic pride. The knowledge is limited. They do offer, you know, some things to help people build themselves up, but at the end of the day, if it doesn't include unity for all, then, you know, it's no good. You know, it's just no good. So I think that the conscious community on that level is definitely a detriment, not only to blacks, but, as you know, as far as I'm concerned, to everybody that listens to them, because if they start to buy into these mentalities, basically you're just poisoning their mind, and that's what they're doing. They're poisoning the minds. It's dead end knowledge.
Damn, I got to agree that is give a sense of empowerment and like, you know, a sense of self-worth to black people. What do you have to say about that? I mean, they're giving us knowledge that we were kings and gods. I mean, isn't that beneficial?
To a degree, yes. Like you said, you know, when you have people that are constantly oppressed and shut out of, you know, life in a positive fashion, you know, that's what makes it so dangerous, because when you have people that are oppressed constantly, and then, you know, you give them some information that empowers them, and then it's also laced with things like melanin, and we were kings and we were gods and things of this nature. It's almost, it gives you a sense of arrogance, whether they admit it or not. You know, it gives you a sense of arrogance that's not true. It's a false sense of superiority, and that's not what it's about. It's about unity. And, you know, at the end of the day, if you're not preaching that unity, you're doing more harm than good. So, but that's the trap with this conscious community thing. They draw you in there. They play on that emotion, you know, according to what we've been experiencing for a lifetime, according to the history that's taught to us. And then they take it, they put it in their back pocket. So they do feel empowered, and it elevates them to a certain degree. But like I said, it's dead end knowledge. And at the end of the day, it does more harm than good, because it's divisive and it doesn't include, you know, other cultures. And that's in, as far as I'm concerned, that's in direct conflict with the idea that, you know, all colors or all shades of people originated in, you know, the North Pole and then spread out from there. You know, so like I said, it's just dangerous. It's, even though it does give them, you know, like I said, a sense of empowerment, at the end of the day, they're using it to basically oppress other people, whether it's mentally or physically.
Yep, and you know what? I gotta say that when you are filled up with that belief, then it kind of makes you stagnate and say, you know what? I'm good. My people, we did this, and that. I don't gotta change myself. I already was that. So now let's just shame everybody else because they were never on this level. You know, so yeah, man, it is like a double-edged sword, definitely. But I mean, I could definitely see how it helps people get up out of their misery, I guess. But once you take it once you use it as a weapon against someone else, that's when
it's no good. Yes.
Yeah. Jay, what's going on with you, man? How do you feel about what we're talking about right now?
Honestly, I just got in. I mean, I've been picking up a little bit of what's been going on, but I couldn't watch it on YouTube, so I just hopped on the panel. But pretty much, I pretty much agree with everything that's been said so far as I heard about if you're not preaching unity, then you're part of the problem and everything.
Absolutely, absolutely, bro.
Because ultimately, the people who are pretty much putting us in these mazes, they had to unify in order to control a large amount of people. And when you think about it, it's only like I think it's like a million of them, and it's probably about 6 to 7 billion of us, if the numbers that they gave us were correct. So when you think about it, they have to unify in order to do what they have done to us and what is about to do to us, if that makes sense.
And you know, if I could add real quick, I think that on some level, a lot of these larger channels that preach the things that they do, I, I'm hoping this anyway. I'm hoping that at some point in time, you know, they didn't necessarily feel the way that they do as far as wanting to bring people in and just basically spoon feed them dead end knowledge and trap them. Um, I do think, or at least I would like to think that the knowledge that they offer, you know, was meant to uplift them, you know, themselves and other people. But then once they realize when you're faced with things like the flat earth truth, you know, at the end of the day, it pretty much destroys the platforms that they preach. And I think that maybe that's the reason why they just keep, instead of elevating to the next level, they just keep preaching the same old, because they're trying to bring in more people, which creates, you know, revenues for themselves, instead of just altering or adapting their belief system to be all inclusive. And instead of doing that, it's like, you know, once they start to preach that flat earth truth, it's going to basically start digging in their pockets. They don't want that. So, you know, like I said, I would hope that when these people created these channels originally, it was good intent. It was laced with good intention, you know, to elevate people. But ultimately, somewhere along the line, I feel like they just got caught up in the, whether it's the money that they generate or just the feeling that boosts their ego. Because it just boggles my mind that how you can be, you know, so-called conscious, and you're wanting to elevate not only your mind but other people's as well, but then you only get to a certain level and stop, and you keep preaching that we are the gods, we are this, we are that, but at the same time you're still in the middle of the hood. You're not doing anything. You don't own any businesses. We don't control our financial destinies as far as a you know, community. We spend the most money out of everybody in this country, and yet we have nothing to show for it. You know, to me, that's a problem, and that should be one of the major red flags with these conscious communities. But a lot of these people just can't see beyond the you know, the boost of the ego that we are gods and we were here first and all this other bullshit that just don't matter. You know, and they get trapped on that, and it's just a toxic ego type of thing where they just get latched onto it and they can't let go for whatever reason, and that's where they fall short of being truly conscious.
Well said. Well said. I have to agree totally with you on that because, I mean, coming into the conscious community as as an awakened person, I saw a lot of things that I just really didn't agree with. But it's like there was something that kept me there. Like, you know, I'm not advancing unless I'm catching these videos. I'm not advancing unless I'm catching the lectures. You know, paying for this and that, and then at the end of the day, I'm thinking it's been years and years, and I have not seen a road built. You know, I have not seen. I don't want to throw shots, but I have not seen like a someone
Those
like
schools.
brother Polite building a school. Yeah, a school. Even I get there's a lot of bureaucracy in that, but you could do it. But also, I mean, a simple fucking road. When you go to the continent, there are roads that are just made because people walk on it. It's not like actual paved, and there's rocks, and you could twist your ankle and all this stuff. And I'm not saying go in there and completely change the whole landscape, but what I'm saying is you could find out what they need, and all these dollars that the Black conscious community raises could actually be going to roads in Jamaica repair, or a Trinidadian, you know what I mean? Just the economies. That's why I would always say that it's important for us to go to third world countries and spend there and build there, so that just by being there passively, we will build up those nations.
And if you notice, like you said, that none of these guys that are generating these funds, they're not doing those types of things, but yet, like a brother like Polite, he'll show you his Bentley. You know, a brother like Sonetta will show you that he got a new Beamer or a new Benz or whatever he got. You know, he actually did a show showing everybody his Benz. You know what I mean? And at the same time, he's asking for money to donate so he could get this van, so that the news or that, you know, Conscious 102, whatever he got, so it could become mobile. What you doing buying a Mercedes, and then you're gonna do a show pretty much showing people that, oh, I'm living large, I'm balling, I got a Mercedes. Who cares, bro? You ain't doing nothing for the people that you supposedly trying to uplift. At the end of the day, you a fraud. You a conscious fraud.
Yep. You have anything to add to that, Jay?
Yeah, like recently, there was a story. I think it was Dre who brought it up, or I can't remember. No, it was Brother Sanchez about the preacher or something like that.
Yeah, the preacher. Yeah, the
right.
Preachers in the pulpit.
Yep.
Pulpit.
He came to church in a Rolls Royce or something like that, and I guess the community attacked him.
Ran up in there and towed up.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and they should. You know what? Because those communities are suffering. The church is usually the nicest building in the community. When the church needs money, it goes to the congregants. But then when the congregants need help, the church tells them to pray. Really? You got these churches. When you do the math, by the time it's all said and done, if you combine all the Black Baptist churches in this country, you got over $1 million per week going into the coffers. That's at least $52 million a year. So you can actually say that they're raking in between $52 and $60 million per year, easy. Wow. Where it's not going back to the hood. Who's getting this money? And they don't question this, you know. And at the same time, then you got these so-called conscious community folks. They capitalize on that and take advantage of it, and they use the addiction of melanin and power, and we were this and we were that, in order to keep these people drawn in and coming in to fund their bullshit.
Right. And that 52 million a year kind of sound familiar, don't it? It's instead of a year, it's a day.
Word?
With the NASA.
Oh, you talking about NASA? Yeah, well,
yeah.
NASA. That's a whole different can of worms. Like, if people can't understand that this organization is getting 52 million per day in tax dollars, but yet we got people running around that's hungry, people that don't have a place to live. We got water that's, you know, polluted. We got food that's garbage, empty nutrition. And then when you say to people that, you know, NASA gets $52 million a day in taxes, and they're like, so what? Who cares? Whatever. What do you mean? Then that obviously means that you don't care about your daily living conditions. You don't care about your brother next door that might not have nothing to eat. You don't care about them folks down the street that might not have a place to live, but yet you cool with NASA getting 52 million in taxes every day. And you know, come on, it's just like people need to wake up, and people's minds are sick, and they need to get up off that bull.
Exactly. But I think it's gonna take a little bit more than evidence. Like, I know that sounds crazy, but it's gonna take more than evidence to convince these people. Because you show them evidence, what do? Oh, that could be anything. Oh, you show them evidence. They pretty much, their mind breaks it down, and it's kind of like the mind tells them, oh, that can't be. You just saw, like, say for instance, you show them the moon landing was fake or something like that. They say, oh, it can't be. Then you show them what they supposedly landed on the moon with, and it's kind of like they defend it. like they see all the aluminum foil around it, the duct tape. And it's just like, when can you, like, where is the point to where you say, okay, I need to look into this, instead of, I mean, oh, that could be anything, defending it without pretty much even doing the research to have a ground to stand on.
Yeah, it's willful ignorance, and that's what dominates. Willful ignorance. And yo, we got a donation. We got a donation from George Garcia. Okay, okay. Yeah, George Garcia. Thank you so much, my brother. He says, you're always dropping real facts, bro. And I appreciate you always sharing knowledge. My dude, I got you. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. And one thing that I can tell you guys is that I'm not one of these people that will say one thing and do another. I'm here to get this truth out, because I don't care how it makes me look. I don't care how many people laugh at me. I've researched it. I've done as much as research as I can. I know the globe model, and there's so many discrepancies with it. So I'm comfortable in the fact that I got the truth here. So when I speak about that and I juxtapose it with Pan-African liberation, I know that it might seem like a deep thing to do, but I mean, how can you discredit me for this? How the shape of your prison cell is tantamount to the success of you getting out of it. If we're stuck under an illusion that this thing is different than it really is, then you're saying, oh, we need to be in power. But then once you gain that power, you realize nothing is as you thought it was. What do? So we really got to step back and ask ourselves, why are they hiding it from us? Don't ask yourself, why does the sun set? Don't ask yourself why the lunar eclipse is a shadow, circular. No. Just ask yourself, why are why are there so many discrepancies? What are they hiding? And that is why this is more important than Pan-African liberation, because once the whole plane is unified into deciding their own destiny, then only then will you know true peace. You will only know the true human nature once everybody is not oppressed. When you have a country or a whole landmass that's quote unquote free, then you have people that's killing people to get there, robbing people to get to that place, and doing all these things to try to be in the place of freedom. You know what I mean? But what do they have to do to get there? And so when it's like working out. People go in there and they just do their pecs and their arms and their abs and they leave. But if you didn't know that when you work out your legs, like your quadriceps, and you release more growth hormones, then it benefits the growth of all the other muscles. So if you're going to do a chest day, well, add some squats in there. If you're going to do a back day, well, then add some some leg thrusts or hip flexor workouts or some shit like that, because it's going to help the overall progress of your body. So if we are thinking about just working on one part of the anatomy of this plane, well, then we're not going to have a true healing. What do you guys think about that?
I agree, because the way I look at it is kind of like when you see, I take a lot from these debates and stuff, and really I'm really mostly trying to understand where globalists come from when they debate. Because when they come in, I don't assume that none of them have done their research. I just kind of look where they come from. Like I look for contradictions. I look for I look for basically I normally look for a lot of things in people when they debate, but normally the main thing I look for is where they get their evidence. Because they'll say, "Oh, I do this, I do that." You can observe. That's what they like to say. You can observe this with your eyes. But normally, when you go back to the question, if this was never taught to you, would you believe it's a ball? And then they go to something like, "Oh, well, yeah, this and that." And if they're gonna lie to themselves, then obviously they wouldn't accept the truth for anybody else.
That's a great point. Me and my friend built on that the other day. What would we think this is if we weren't shown any images or taught anything? And we'd say,
Right.
well, it doesn't seem to be moving, but what does seem to move is everything above.
Right.
And it seems to come in a pattern. And, you know, I don't think anybody would naturally come to the conclusion that it was a globe. It's so far outside of reality.
Not at all.
Yeah, I'm liking that that analogy that Masterpiece just used with going to the gym, and because you need to look at humanity, you need to take a holistic approach. You know, and like you said, if you go to the gym and you just working up on your biceps and you don't spread out that workout to cover the entire body, then you're gonna be walking around looking like you're gonna be cock diesel. You're gonna be cock diesel up top, and then you look down bottom, you're gonna have chicken legs. So you gotta work on the whole system, and that's when you translate that over into the human, the human family. The Black conscious community is basically like you going to the gym, and every time you go to the gym, all you do is bench press and curls. So when you leave the gym at the end of the day, you all brolic up top, but then the legs is all skinny and whatever. So ultimately, what I'm saying is now you'll be top heavy. You got all the muscle mass up top, you got no muscle mass down bottom. Eventually, the foundation is going to crumble. So you need to work on humanity in a holistic approach and incorporate everything. Just like going to the gym, when you go to the gym and you work on your physique, you need to incorporate a holistic workout where it encompasses the entire body. Well, right now, the Black consciousness community, they're not working on the entire body. They're just working on one portion of the body, and that's no dice.
And if I could say which portion of their body they would be working on, it would be the penis, because it's all about,
yeah, right.
it's all about the measuring, and we were this and I'm badder and bigger than you. So yeah, it's definitely stroking.
Bunch of ego stroking. Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
right.
Bunch of ego stroking. No
Yep.
good. That's poison.
Yep. Yeah, man. It's so important that, I mean, I don't care if it's not flat. I don't care. I don't care what the shape is, really. I give it to me. I just want to know, and from my personal belief, it's a realm. It's not a place. It's a state. It's not a place that you could point to and say there's Earth. I believe that this physical experience is actually a state of being, and in different states you have different environments that constitute and help support that state. But I don't care what it is. The fact is that I don't like how they were lying to me about it. And although NASA's American, I'm Canadian, they're not taking my money. It definitely, I mean, we build their rockets. We build drone technology. In Canada here, we do so much military manufacturing for the US. It's insane. And I don't know if a lot of people know that, but like, we source all of your gas. But it's one thing to say, oh, that's just, NASA lying to America or whatever. But it's another thing to say the whole world is receiving these images, because yeah, NASA is just one entity, but those NASA images and what's based on that goes out in movies, and those movies are watched all over the world. It goes out in textbooks, and if you hope to get a degree that's quote unquote high enough to stand up to the American standards, then well, you got to know that globe model. And so it's just they've got themselves positioned in all facets of our lives, and that is what should make you really pissed off. Is that it's not the fact that it's flat all of a sudden and it used to be round. No, it's the fact that they lied in the first place. And how much more advances of technology from the ground level, from people like you and me, innovators, inventors, how many new innovations of technology do you think we could have made if we just know the reality, the nature of the reality? I mean, there's no gravity, so let's not even write that into the equation with this machine. Let's just completely forget about gravity. It's all about density and buoyancy. Okay, let's go with that. Okay, we don't have to take into account curvature, so we don't have to spend our money on this machine that measures the Earth. You know what I mean? And that's just the tip of the iceberg. And I'm gonna let you guys build on that. I mean, how much we would know if we just fully understand what was around us.
Right. See now. Oh, my bad, Jay. Real quick, because I'm gonna have to unplug real soon because my battery gonna die. I gotta get some juice. But
no problem.
Just real quick, this is why, like, as much as I can, I stress the importance of learning that ancient cosmology because it opens up so many doors. Now, and even to a very, as far as the symbology is concerned, even with NASA, just because, NASA is an American government, you still have all of these agencies across the world that basically are the equivalent of NASA. And more than likely, they still all operate under an umbrella, whether it's a group of people that basically control whether it's like 5 or 6 different major space agencies. And one way, like how it ties back into the ancient cosmology, is if you look at the symbology of each and every individual space agency, whether it's the United States or Japan or Thailand or whoever has these space agencies, they all use the vector symbology. And you can tie that vector symbology right back to, that ancient cosmology that most people are ignorant to. So I think learning that ancient cosmology is the first step into opening these people's eyes. And once they can start making those connections that literally go back to the ancestors, then they're more apt to open their minds to the possibilities of how we've been lied to, why we're being lied to, and the fact that what they teach us as far as where we live is completely, inaccurate. So I just can't stress enough the need for people to literally learn as much about the ancient cosmology as possible. And I think it'll open up so many doors, which will then in turn open up the minds of the people, which will allow us to further propagate the truth.
Well said, well said, well said. I'm gonna flip it to Jay.
Oh man, I'm over here playing the game. I forgot what I was gonna say, honestly. But to build off what Dre said, I agree, and to what Master P said also about the if we don't have to waste our time on the curvature that we can't calculate, on the movement we can't feel, basically we would advance further. And in a way, I feel like I believe they have advanced further, way further than us, because they don't do these kind of things. And as a result, they are way further ahead of us, kind of like in a way. Because also, I think that was you, Masterpiece, that said this, but they released iPhone 6, and they already have iPhone 10s or something like that. We're limited to what we have, but in a different area, they are advanced because they don't do the heliocentric kind of calculations. They do geocentric, so they don't have to run through all these hoops and jump through all these holes. They can get straight to the point. And I believe that is how they calculate these eclipses, how they know it's going to be an eclipse in 2024, 2019, August 21st, pretty much.
Well said, well said. Yep, yep.
Yes, sir.
Yep. I mean, definitely. I mean, they understand what's really going on, and and of course it just helps them engage with the reality much easier. I mean, that's why I'm excited to see the youth grow up under this reality, because I mean, I'm seeing the Shark's Tank and the Dragon's Den, and there's these young inventors, and they're so bright. And once you incorporate the fact that, you know, because I think we all struggled with the globe when we were young, and so once you kind of leave that out of the mess and trying to wrap your whole head around that over years and years and years, you're kind of frees yourself up to do other things. I'm gonna give a shout out. Joe Jack, what's going on? How you doing? Six Warrior, how you doing? I see you in the chats all the time. How you doing? Moolish, Martin O'Craft, thanks for watching. And one more person that I wanted to give a shout out to was Fam G. What's good? American Logic. Logic says that his brother here is a globe earth fruitarian.
What the heck is that?
I guess somebody believes it's a globe, but wake enough to know that fruits is all we need.
Okay, no doubt. I can respect that.
Yeah. Ricky Bugatti, what's going on? A lot of these people, I don't even know if they're, you know, agreeing with us or not, and I don't really care. I'm just showing love because they came out, you know, the chat. Yeah. Depolarized sheeple, how's it going? All right, yo, this has been
I'll just real quick. I can tell you just by a bunch of the names that I heard that they're on the same page as us, brother.
Yeah, I feel the love coming from this. Once again, thank you for the super chat donation to George Garcia, man. He's always rocking with me, and you know what I intended. I guess I'll say this now. What I intended, and what I always intend to do with these super chat donations, is basically look. This is the way it is, guys. For YouTubers, we create content, and it takes up time. And when you have a family, you start thinking, okay, I have a daughter, and I got work. How am I going to fit in the fact that I got to spread this truth and make it appealing so that people want to watch it? You know, it takes up time out of your day, and we're not really getting paid for it at all, because I mean, hey, we're not employed. We're just doing this out of the goodness of our hearts. So when Super Chat came around, I was kind of like, I don't even know what this is all about. I don't get it. But what I said I'm going to do is, when I open up a Super Chat, I'm going to make sure that if it's not to support my family, like, I mean, everybody runs into hard times and shit. If it's not to support my family because, hey, I am an artist and it is hard, then it's going to be to upgrade equipment, you know, get better cameras, and also get better programs. And not only that, but also help to fund things like Flat Earth meetups, or videos, and sourcing videos, and talent for that. You know, there's a whole bunch of things that we can do as YouTubers, and the only thing we ask is your support. And if you can spread our names around, that's great. And if you can donate, that's even better, you know. And just as long as you know the people that you're donating into, because I know that we in the community have been hurt a lot and slighted a lot, you know. Next thing you know, they're on a plane to somewhere and not doing anything. I'm the type of person who, just quickly, when I went over to the continent, I immediately wanted to find out where I could volunteer. And so I asked my wife's dad, I said, is there any places that I can volunteer? And he said, well, they're all kind of like organizations. You probably don't want to get involved with any of that. And I was like, okay, true. So I had to think outside the box. And I went to this theater, and it was pretty run down. The paint was fading, and I'm an artist. So I said, hey, do you mind if I, you know, paint your theater? Do you mind if I add some splash of color, kind of bring some life back? And along with that, I started filming trailers So they would throw a play, and I would, before in the dress rehearsal, I would film the play. I would go home, edit it, put some music over it, chop it up, give the dates and the information, and then I would put it out in the WhatsApp groups and in the places for it to be seen around Malawi, Africa. And did you know that after I did that, the place was getting packed, the plays were selling out, and the husband and wife, they had like 4 beautiful kids, all with dreads. They were experiencing like sold out nights, and it made me feel so good inside. And you don't have to wait to sign up for someone to go volunteer. You don't have to wait for an organization. You can do it. And so when I open up a super chat with the kind of person I am, I just know that this is going to be used for positivity, and it's going to be used to spread good messages and light. So that's just a background on me, because I know a lot of people could be nervous about that. So just to get back into it, I know, Dre, you said that you got to dip out quick. Sorry, I always catch you when you're eating.
Nah, you good.
Okay.
Well, now by the time I get back into the car, I might be able to plug in, so I'll be good. But right now I'm at like 23%. I was just giving you a heads up. If I drop out, it's because my battery died.
You'll be good. You'll be
yeah,
good.
right now I'm straight, so we good.
Yeah. If you have a smartphone, a good way to do it, because this is taking up a lot of battery and moving back and forth. So if you change the screen so that your phone doesn't have to work to do this, then it extends the battery. But anyways, y'all, I hate to be that person that goes against the grain, but at the same time I love it. And, you know, I do love it, because I love getting at the crux of the matters. I love digging right to the nitty gritty of the situation. And the nitty gritty of the situation is, whether you're, I was about to say white, brown, black, blah, blah, blah. But then, you know what occurred to me? I just heard somebody talking, and they said this word for word. Oh, one of them was white, one of them was Indian, and the other was Chinese. And then I was like, wait a minute, white, Indian, then Chinese. That doesn't make any sense. You're mixing skin tone with region. You're not saying, oh, he was Irish, Chinese, and Indian. You're saying he was white, like a general thing. And you know what I did a video on, or at least I mentioned it. I said, black people view white people in more of a unified way than they view themselves. Because when you're white, you're white. But suddenly in the black conscious community, when you're black, you're either North African, you know what I mean? Are you,
right.
Are you Caribbean? Are you Haitian? You know, are you South American indigenous? Like, there's so much breakdowns, and then we look at white and we say white, and we don't know that white's made of Polish, Russian, Ukrainian, you know, so many different cultures. So I don't want to say white, black, brown. I want to say the most important thing is, at the crux of the matter, is that wherever you live, you are being deceived. And if the biggest deception is the shape of the place you live, then how do you ever expect to fully engage or be a master of your own reality if 90% of it is being hidden from you? So please don't get mad when we're relating Newton Geb, not Jeb, Geb, to the flat earth cosmology. And if you haven't already done so, please spread this through the Black conscious community and spread Brother Sanchez's name, because he will fully break down to you the mysteries of the Dogon Kanunga and its relationship to the mother goddesses and to Shu and to all these people that you thought were solely African. And then when you realize that everybody shared it on every continent, then you start thinking, well, I guess there was something that unified us once, whether it be our art, beliefs, our history, whatever. Let's go back to that. Let's focus on that.
Yeah, Brother Sanchez, that one live stream he had, like maybe him and Dread, that day that him and Dread had the same live stream, they both live stream at the same time. You can kind of feel, and you can kind of, it was kind of like being connected to the same frequency. You can understand where he was coming from, and you can see kind of what I think his name was Chief. You can kind of see where Chief, where he didn't get it, and you
Bang
can
on
tell.
the Chief.
You can kind of tell that Brother Sanchez was passionate about what he was talking about, and Chief, he kind of seemed like he tried to make it seem like at least that he knew what Brother Sanchez was trying to say, but he thought he knew it all. He didn't want to listen, kind of.
He was emotional.
Right.
He got very emotional, and one thing that you'll notice when you go back to that and you watch when people out of the conscious community, like whether it's Chief or that other cat, what's that cat? Something Kemet?
Subtle. Madan Kemet.
No, not Madan. He's another guy with braids, and he's always got the fitted caps, and he's always changing up his answers. Like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean. What's his name, man? Good guy.
I only seen Subtle
I know
Infinity.
who you're talking about. I don't remember his name though.
From Texas. Yeah.
Man, what is that dude's name?
Cats like that come representing the Black conscious community. They see, this is one thing that I wanted to talk about too. It is our responsibility to give as much as we're taking. When I break people's reality down back in the day, over at a college party, and you're like, aliens are real, and or you're like, the Bible's fake, bro, and shit like that, right? What I didn't realize is, or don't eat meat. Meat is bad. You're taking something away without giving them something in return, an alternative. And so a lot of times we will say, oh, the earth is flat. The earth is flat. And Newton Gebb was flat earth cosmology, and they lied to us. But we don't give them an alternative, like a safety coping mechanism. Like, yo, bro, I was lied to too. It hurt. But now I'm so much more awake. And how does it, one of my friends asked, how did it affect your spirituality? So these are questions that we have to address and nip in the bud. We have to say, yo, the earth is flat, but don't worry. Everything works out better. The whole celestial, equatorial journey that we see, the layers of the realms and the spirit worlds and the dream worlds and the mental planes, all of these make so much more sense now with a flat earth cosmology. The races, the stories, and the sun, and so you don't have to worry about being, having that spirituality taken away from you, because a lot of people, I find, equate spirituality with believing that there's like an out there, like a distant star system that they came from, and these people were godly and blue, and they're full of peace, and their planet's pure crystal, and the Pleiadians and shit like that. We're not replacing that magical spiritual feeling. We're saying, you've been lied to, it's all a lie, it's not a globe, it's flat. But I want to say that we have to remember to give them something to replace that with.
Well, go ahead.
Go ahead, brother. No, go ahead. You good?
Well, no, I just was about to say something short real quick, but for the atheists, it's kind of like they really didn't have anything from the start. So like the atheists, all they believe is, oh, we were born by accident. We're here, and it doesn't mean anything. And when we die, it's gonna be like just nothing. It's just gonna like we never existed. We go back into the earth, and life. That's how life is for them.
Yeah, and that's almost that's all right because well, it's not all right, but what I mean is you're not gonna get a sort of adverse reaction. I find an atheist is more like, okay, whatever. They're kind of more their belief is non-belief. You know what I mean? That atheism is still an ism. And so when you say, oh, there's it's a flat earth. It's not a globe. There's no planets out there and stars and shit like that. It's a flat earth. They haven't, if anything, I would say you've just added a little something to them, to their life. Say, whoa, it's a flat plane. Okay, let me look into this. Oh shit, everything was kind of created perfect. And yeah, this has been rotating above us for millions of years and it's still here. Maybe there is a higher consciousness and awareness. So I think it works in both ways.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. The thing that I guess maybe they're afraid to walk away from is that belief once again. And that ancient cosmology offers that replacement, not only a replacement, but it gives you a deeper understanding of these things that they're so attached to. And once they begin to learn these things in its true context, the way that the ancients framed it for us, it kind of fills in all those voids. It gives you that deeper understanding of the things that they're latched onto, and I think that maybe they're afraid to let it go because they don't understand it, and they just need to get into it and try to understand it. It's people are afraid of change. You know what I mean? And you couple that with all that we've been taught over our lifetimes, and a lot of people just see it as far-fetched, but yet they'll buy into some crap that there's like spaceships out there that are bringing people here to save us, and whatever. It's just people need to just open their minds. I always say this, but it all starts with the mental state. Once you elevate that mental state, and you open the mind and you open the heart, it's easy to put two and two together and understand the connections. And once you understand the connections, it becomes clear as day that this is what it is. This is the ultimate truth, and there is a creator. Whether you call him Jesus, Allah, Buddha, or whatever else, it's at the end of the day, it's all one and the same. That Christ consciousness, or that creator, if you will, is all encompassing. It transcends the different cultural and the different basically cultural images that people become so attached to that they're afraid to walk away from, because then they feel like they're slighting their God, and it's just a bunch of bull.
Yep, definitely. And that's almost something that's better. Oh, okay. Hold on. Someone was just about to start the vacuum.
Master tried to vacuum.
The house. People trying to vacuum
space.
People trying to clean my house? No. What I really wanted to say when you were talking about that is the whole fact of like owing like an allegiance. They done did it. I'm about to move. Can y'all still hear me?
Yeah.
Am I loud and clear?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. That's almost one thing that an atheist would almost have an advantage about in into a new truth, is that there is no one to disappoint. There is no one judging. There is no one to impress. And when Dre said, man, what I want to let to realize is that it's all mental. Everything is mental. The universe is mental itself. And so people ask, well, where does the earth end? As if they're not already comfortable with believing that space doesn't end. It's like, conceive the fact that it's too vast to be able to conceive. But when I tell you as above, so below, the earth it could be just as vast. And I say, if the universe is mental, well, then where does an idea have its edges? You know, where does an idea stop? There is no hard line to fall off of when you're forming a thought. One leads into another, and it's all connected on the plane of that mental state. So that just kind of just helps to tie into the whole mysticism of it all, because I kind of personally experienced it. It almost kind of diminished my spirituality, the flat earth. I was almost like, well, it just doesn't seem as magical as I once thought it was. But maybe that's a good thing. You know, maybe coming back down to reality and not letting your head float around about Pleiadians and aliens and seeding our planets and coming to breed with us and drinking our period blood and all this shit.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Whoa.
bro. Yeah, man. That's if you read the Pleiadian keys to Earth, it says that the period blood is very powerful, which it is. It has a lot of energy in it, a lot of nutrients. But they recommend drinking it and putting it at the four corners, the cardinal points of your house, to like bring you protection and shit. And I'm like, okay, this is another type of like psyop kind of derail to try to get those spiritual people who are way up in the clouds to believe that there is something greater, again, going to save them in the future when after they're dead and gone. So maybe it's a good thing that it brings, you know, flat earth will bring some people down to reality a little bit.
Now, for me, I was, I mean, even as recently as like 3 years ago, you couldn't tell me, you couldn't tell me that the earth was flat and I didn't look at you with like you had 10 heads with a unicorn pooping glitter out your ear. Like it was just that ridiculous. But for me, it solidified. I've never been a religious person. I've always been spiritual. But the more that I got into the cosmology and understanding just the, you know, how these numbers and all these theories that pertain to the globe were just hot garbage, and they just didn't make sense when you start to pick them apart, you know, even down to something as simple as water. You know, it just solidified it for me. And if anything, it made me become more spiritual and have more faith and belief, if you will, in the creator, because I never thought along those lines. I mean, I always thought that there was something higher than us per se, but you know, I was more, I can honestly say I was more of an atheist with a spiritual background, but also I was very familiar with or comfortable with the idea of outer space and the possibility of aliens and stuff like that. And it's just like, you know, when I came into the flat earth, it just, all of that stuff over time just gradually went out the window the more I came across things that pretty much dismissed it logically and through either experimentation or just, you know, flat out facts. You know, it's just like, you know, it solidified it for me 100 times over, the fact that there's definitely a creator, and everything was pretty much constructed in a manner to serve us. Nothing that the creator put in existence is here to harm us. It's just an unfortunate fact that the people that run the show right now are a bunch of psychopathic, sadistic SOBs, you know, that know how to manipulate the system. And too many people are just unaware of that fact and fall victim to it by partaking in the, you know, the paradigms that are set up for you to fail, you know, and they actually partake of them. I don't know better. So, but at the end of the day, it just solidified all that stuff for me, made it more real.
Wow. What about you, Jay? Hey, Jay, you still with us?
Yep.
How about you? Did flat earth add to your spirituality or take away from it, do you think?
Well, I think it adds to it in a way, because it kind of, especially the part about Nikola Tesla, like his whole study and everything. That really oh wow, that really adds to it because I was on Jared's panel and Llewellyn brought up uh, that the wandering stars have consciousness. Like ever since that day, I've been thinking about that. And well, if you look at the diagram of the Freemasons, it it shows that the stars and the wandering stars reach down to us. Now, what it does when it reaches down, I don't know. But the Freemasons teach that kind of what Nikola Tesla was talking about, just in the diagram alone.
I just to kind of help maybe clarify that, if because I kind of feel the same way as far as the quote unquote wandering stars are concerned. These are all energy bodies to me, and if they do in fact, in a sense, reach down and touch us, they do that through frequency. But you have to tune yourself to that frequency. If you're not tuned into that frequency, you're not going to get the message. It's just like an old school radio. If you got that little dial and you tune that dial, and you ain't right on the channel that you're trying to listen to, you might get a little bit of this station. So you might hear some hip hop, and then every now and then you're gonna hear a yee-haw pop in because you got a little bit of the frequency from the from the country western zone. So as far as that's concerned, like I kind of like buy into that concept as far as the frequency and how these so-called wandering stars may have influence on us. And it kind of ties into, if you get into the astrology aspect of it, as far as your zodiac sign and those things are concerned, as they relate to the constellations and whatever. So I definitely think that all of these celestial bodies, whether they're stars or wandering stars, on a level of frequency somehow, that they do interact with us and exchange or give us information if we're in tune with it. That's the key. You got to be in tune with it.
Word. It's I like this. I like getting different opinions on this, because it helps people not feel so alone with the wandering stars. And yeah, you always hear these these types of references, like the cow jumped over the moon, or there's nothing new under the sun, not beside the sun. You know what I mean? So there's all these things that we kind of took for granted, I guess. We knew they were sayings and we just kind of sloughed them off. But then when you come back into this flat earth realization, you're like, nothing new under the sun and over the moon. Yeah, I mean, it's possible to launch something over the moon, whereas before it was like, Van Halen belts and all this shit. So it definitely helped me make more connections to where we get our sayings and our idioms from. Was that the fact that look, the fact is, everybody out there, that we, for a longer time in Earth's history, we have believed it was flat, then we have believed there was a globe. We've only been believing it was a globe for the past 500 give or so years. And when you put that into perspective, we've only been thinking it's a globe for about a blink. But within that blink, you can see how destructive and how ignorant things have gotten. So, man, I'm so excited for this flat earth truth and revelation, because now we can start thinking how our ancestors did. People, look, we've made voyages from Africa to South Americas. There was cocaina found in the pharaoh's tombs. There's the same type of metal composites of the irons and the nickels and coppers in the spears and the helmets in South America as there was in Africa. So we know that we've traveled all over this plane. You can't do that with a globe model. Now, I just have to get this out on the record. If it's the fattest, if it's the widest at the equator, that means anything south of the equator has to taper down back smaller into a radius. So you start at 0, then you go all the way up to 24,000 miles wide, and then you go back above the equator, back up to 0. So it's a sphere. Now, if you're plotting a voyage, a great voyage from South Africa to South America, and you're looking at it on a globe and you're making those measurements, then you take it to the real flat earth reality, you will realize that you are way underpacked. You have way less tools, way less things of sustenance, medical supplies, space that you need, and you will die. You will have to turn back. And that's something that people just don't understand. We had magnificence, we had kingdoms, we had trades, but no globe. Now suddenly we have a globe, and people think, oh, now we really know what the earth is, and now we have real technologies and real iPhones and shit. But at the same time, higher infant mortality rate, higher cancer rates, diseases that have never been heard of before, that when we bring it back to the indigenous, they're like, you are possessed by the devil. Like, you have a bad, like, there's something wrong with you. Like, your child won't stop running round and round. They have cavities in their teeth. You know what I mean? There's, oh man, the attention, your child can't even listen to a bedtime story. You know what I mean? It's, we've changed a lot. And I think if we go back to that earth, everything is balanced and peaceful, that we can then elevate our mindset, because nothing grows in fear. And I know I'm rambling on, but studies have shown that organisms that are in fear, they cannot grow to their full potential, just based on the fact alone that the fear vibration is bringing down their thoughts. They're not thinking optimistically, they're not thinking about the end goal, they're only thinking about the here and now and how to get out and live day to day. And that is what they've done with the ghettos. You know, there's so much black intelligence. Fuck black intelligence. There's so much intelligence in every hood, in every slum. But they don't see past the next meal, the next stick up, the next job. You know what I mean? The next girl ting that they're gonna slam. So it's always a very reptilian-minded, fear-based fight or flight mentality when you're dealing with the slums or the hood or the ghettos. And so we have to realize that it's beautiful and balanced and peaceful and everything is harmonious for us to truly be able to grow into who we're supposed to be. And I'm gonna fall back on that and let you guys build on that.
Man, we went to the moon in a garbage can. So I mean, I figured anything is possible. But yeah, I'm gonna let Dre go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, like, Master Peace touched on something that I think a lot of people, may not realize on a molecular level. And this ties back into the fear that they propagate, which also ties back into the god called Pan, the Greek god. One thing about fear is it's actually, they create this stuff for you to face and deal with on a daily basis. Now, the thing about fear, like Master Peace was saying, it affects things on a cellular level, in a negative way. So, for instance, if you're constantly faced with fear and worry and those types of things, it literally produces high levels of cortisol. Cortisol produces inflammation, for instance. Now, when the body is inflamed, then it starts to do things to the body because it's trying to address that inflammation. So, and they understand these types of sciences. So the more that they basically do the fear porn thing and put all this stuff in your face to make you feel fear and to feel anxiety and things of that nature, it literally affects you on a cellular level. This is why when you get into like these metaphysical type teachings or whatever, they tell you that, basically in a nutshell, what you think is what you become. If you constantly harbor negative thoughts and things like that, it affects you on a cellular level and your cells will respond to it. That's just how it is. Anybody can find this information and understand it if you choose to. So I definitely agree that was very important, what Master Peace said about, how fear doesn't allow things to basically grow or propagate in a natural, healthy context. And people need to understand that it all goes back to the mental, though. The mind is everything. We need to get to the point where we train ourselves to use that to our advantage, because right now somebody else is using it to their advantage and ultimately to your own disadvantage. So it's very important to get those thoughts on a positive vibe and incorporate that to the best of your ability in your everyday life. So
very well said, very well articulated. I'm gonna have to agree with all that because he was just building off what I said, and like I said, me and Dre, it's always like we're on the same vibe, same wave, so we just ride it together. Man, this has been a powerful build. I mean, I think that we have given the audience something to chew on. I think that if this hopefully spreads into the Black conscious community, I hope that the words are received well with love. And hey, we're not against you. We're not. It's all unity, but we have to have a bigger spectrum of what that unity means, even if it's just to take down a common enemy. We can sort out all that where you're from shit later, and we can just deal with the problem at hand, the today and the tomorrow. So with that being said, I'm gonna go get my wife from work, and I'm gonna let y'all go on with your day and let you close out and announce yourselves and say anything that you guys would like to say.
I just wanted to say to all the globalists that are watching, we need to all invest in trash cans, because I don't know how, but somehow we went to the moon in one. But on a serious note, everybody could put in to find out for themselves. But no, I don't think they would like the answer to it.
All right, we're just gonna get a bunch of trash cans, y'all, and we're
Right.
gonna put them together in every hood and just see what happens, y'all. You're hilarious.
But they have to be hefties. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then we must consult with Oscar the Grouch in Sesame Street.
Yeah,
And duct tape.
for comfortability and food supply, air supply, things like that. Yeah, we should find out from a veteran like Oscar the Grouch.
Yes, sir.
Come up with us. We won't put him on any strings, but we will have him on our hands, showing that gravity. I don't know. It's so ridiculous once you're on another level to think about the globe and all of its implications. So, I mean, in the future, if anybody wants to debate, hey, I'm here. If you're from the Black conscious community, wherever you're from, man, I'm here. I got my squad with me. If you want to do a one-on-one, we can do that. Dre, why don't you go ahead and close out?
And I will say this, although we're not necessarily against the particularly the Black conscious community, because we're about unity, but we will pull your coattail. So just realize that we will pull that coattail. And with that being said, I would just like to say thank you to Master Peace for putting the show together and having us on the panel. I appreciate everything that this brother does, because he is real, he's genuine, and he's active. So I got mad respect and love for that. And not only that, but the brother's an artist. So in my opinion, this is one of the reasons why we kind of clicked or whatever. So I just want to say thank you to the brother for extending the generosity and the hospitality on the panel. Peace, brother.
Definitely.
Oh man, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I love you guys. I love building with y'all. For everybody out there, so much love to Jay and to Dre and whatever they're doing. They're real people. I only have real people on this panel, and if not, like Dre said, we're gonna pull that coattail. So with that being said, this is Masterpiece. Remember, all is mental. Okay, and if you want to make any sort of change, you gotta be the one to do it first in the mind. I recommend KYBALION, and just to give you some more in-depth knowledge about how mental planes work. And with that being said, y'all, peace and love. And remember, eat to live. All right, y'all. Peace.
Peace. What's up? Dre was good. I'm thinking that was Dre.
He got.
Hey, but I'm for real gonna build a trash can though. I'm not even lying. I'm gonna take a picture of it and I'm gonna see who I can convince.
You crazy. All right, yeah. Peace, guys.
All right, later.